Hi, if you've been considering using Streamyard for your next live broadcast or for your next virtual event, consider this a tutorial of what it's like using it from an administrator or host standpoint. The difference between Streamyard and something like Zoom is that, and you'll see once I start going through this, that you have a lot of control over what appears on the screen when, as well as some control over how things look in terms of being able to seamlessly add things like video clips or image overlays and things like that. So in terms of StreamYard, there is a free version of StreamYard. And what that does, though, is that it's going to show this little duck guy with the little duck icon with the little headphones. It's going to show him on everything. And I believe that, you can't do a super long stream that way too. I think the stream limit might be like 30 minutes or 45 minutes or something. But obviously what most people do is they go with one of the paid versions. So the $25 a month is basically lets you stream up to 3 destinations. So for example, 2 Facebook pages and a YouTube channel. The $50 a month one lets you stream up to 8 destinations. And both of them obviously allow you to get rid of the StreamYard branding and add your own branding and some other things as well. So what I tell people to do is if you're going to run a live event and you want it to look nice, just get a monthly version. And depending on how many places you're streaming toward, will determine probably which one of these plans that you get. So I have the $50 a month plan right now. And so that's what I'll show you. But the primary difference seems to be that the amount of destinations you can have and maybe the amount of guests you can have at a time. And I'll show you that in a second. So the first thing you'll do, you set up a free StreamYard account, and then you can add places that you want to be able to broadcast to. So for any place that you are, like in Facebook, for example, you can have different levels of access. So for example, Phoenix Moon Energy added me as an editor. So I was able to add that account being an editor without being a full-on admin of her Facebook page. But obviously for most other things, you just need a username and a password, or like I said, the correct level of access. Now it does let you stream to LinkedIn, but you have to have streaming turned on LinkedIn. And I've applied for it like 3 times and they're not letting me in. So I don't know what the deal is there, but once you're allowed to stream on LinkedIn, you can only stream to one LinkedIn location at a time. The other ones don't seem to have constraints. I've been streaming to multiple YouTube channels at the same time, multiple Facebook pages, and it hasn't been a problem. Even multiple Twitter accounts at one point. So, and obviously it uses Periscope for Twitter. So when you want to add a destination, you just simply click add destination. And as you see here, you can link up things pretty easily. Now, the one thing that comes up for people a lot is, well, how do I do Instagram? And that's where this like custom thing comes in. And then there's a piece of software called Yellow Duck. Yeah. And there's a software called Yellow Duck, which you'll notice looks an awful, which acts as an intermediary between something like StreamYard and Instagram. I haven't successfully gotten this to work, but that doesn't mean it doesn't. I know that this is what's supposed to happen. I just don't care enough about Instagram and have had other things to do in my life to hit my head against the wall about it. But that's where the custom RTMP comes in, is something like, I guess, Instagram. But I have a feeling that, as platforms open up, we'll be able to do Instagram within this a little bit more easily in the future. But for now, this is a lot of options for me and probably for most people. Also, I noticed that StreamYard joined Hopin, which is a virtual event hosting platform. And so I think to this kind of thing will integrate further with, those event platforms where people are, attending virtual conferences and things like that. So basically you just go through and let me just add a Facebook page just for fun. I'm sure there's Facebook pages I manage that I still haven't added yet. Oh, that's not the right account. Oh, hold on. I know what this is. But it's pretty straightforward to add new things. It's going to pull up anything that you sort of have the right level of access to be able to add. and anything that's connected already, it's going to show as connected. So if I want to connect, there we go. And it says your Facebook page is connected. You're all set. So if I go back to destinations, I should see Gift Potsdam on there. Yep, there it is, about right in the middle of the page here. So now you can add lots of, as you see, I have more than 8 destinations here, but I can only broadcast to 8 at a time. So you can pre-add stuff, maybe you have somebody is coming on and you want to stream to their page as well, but that's not going to be a regular thing. That's totally fine. And you can disable it back here. Now with broadcasts can be scheduled up to a week in advance. You can't schedule them more than that in advance. I hope that changes because it's kind of a pain in the butt. So for example, I had this broadcast scheduled and then I just wrote this in so I'd remember to do it. But since I couldn't schedule it because I planned on doing it further than a week ahead of time. So I couldn't schedule it. So if I want to create a new broadcast, I just click create broadcast, and this is where I can select. So obviously, since I'm paying for the $50 level, I can select up to 8 places. But the other thing I can do is I can just record only. And what that will do is allow me to use this as kind of not a screen recorder, but yeah, sort of as I can record myself on video, I can record my screen and all that, and I can just save it for my own use. But I can select what pages I want to go to. And I'm sure you've seen, there we go. I'm waiting for it to get mad at me and say, you can't. Oh, wait. Oh, it tells me once I schedule it that I can't. So I'm going to select, and then I can type in my title and my description, and then I can click schedule for later, and I can upload a thumbnail image. So if you've ever seen a YouTube preview that has like a pretty image, that's probably where this kind of thing comes from. And I can schedule I can schedule, like I said, up to 7 days in advance. And if I want to, I can customize the description and title for each individual one. So I can write a draft one, and then I can write them to be slightly different on the different channels if I want to. I don't want it to actually post anywhere, so I'm not going to save that. So now let's take a look at what I can do here is once the broadcast is created, it shows up on the screen, just in my little list here of upcoming broadcasts. All my past ones are in a different tab, so I can go back and get them. And yeah, so I think it saves them for a certain period of time or a certain amount of them before they delete. So if you're going to record something, just make sure you have a plan for where you're going to put that recording instead of storing it on there indefinitely. And what I can do here is if I'm inviting people to this, so like, let's say, I have a guest coming on, I'm going to click invite. And what I can do is I can send them this link. I can also click, to send them the instructions for the guests, which tells them things like, use a good camera and the kind of stuff that maybe if you've hosted virtual events, you've thought about, but you can send that as well. But this link will get them into the broadcast. So you're going to just send them this link and tell them all they need to do is click on it and they will enter, and they will be in the broadcast, which I'll show you in a second. So this is all they need to be able to get in. We're obviously not going to share that with the general public. Anyone who clicks on that link is kind of coming in as a guest. Everyone else who's like on these Facebook pages or whatever is just watching. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter the broadcast studio, acting like I'm going to be going live soon. So the first thing it's going to do is going to give me a preview of what I look like. That's what I look like. And it shows, I can make sure that the right camera is selected. I can make sure the right microphone is selected. And it's pretty good about like adjusting the volume and things like that. I find it's really nice how it kind of works in the background to create a nice experience for people watching. They recommend not using the green screen, which I totally get, especially if people are new at it and maybe their processor isn't good enough to host it. This display name, if I choose to display names, so if I have like more than one guest, I obviously probably want to display their name and title. This is what we'll display here. And I'm going to click enter the broadcast studio. Now, as you see here, if you look in the lower left corner, I am not in the stream yet. I'm going to click add to stream. Now I'm in it. I'm going to click the blue remove button again in the lower part of the screen, and I'm gone. anything that is in the screen is what we can hear. So if I was streaming this right now, people would just be able to see this little matrix looking like background, but they wouldn't be able to hear anything because I'm not in the broadcast. And then, oh, here I am. So what's nice is as your guests enter the studio, they enter kind of grayed out in that lower panel that you see below the video here, where I am when I remove myself. And so what you can do is you can like see someone come in, and then they have access to this private chat, as do you, and you can say like, are you ready? And you can keep talking and you can see if they're ready. And then, they'll be able to chat back to you. So what I tell people is when you come on, like I'm going to obviously be live streaming, so I can't really stop and help you troubleshoot. I usually offer a sound check an hour before I'm going to go live. And I just let people come in if they want and test their sound, test their microphone, that kind of thing, make sure it's all working. And, but because once the broadcast is started, there's really not much I can do. If I have someone helping me, they can sort of try to help. But if the person's remote, obviously you have kind of a limited amount of control over that. But I can remove myself and it's just going to use my default background, which I've set to this for whatever reason. I forget. I was doing something technical the last broadcast. I use this for a reason. For a while, I had this like festive, like Christmas light thing going, which was obviously worked well. Now, as people come in, what's nice is that, there can be, it actually helps to add me. I can do a split. So below kind of the main video that you're looking at, there's these little grayed out things. This is my face being as big as possible. I can also share my screen, and I can pick what screen. So let me say I share my other screen. And what I can do, there we go. So there's screen sharing with the screen bigger. Here's screen sharing with the screen slightly smaller. And then here's screen sharing where you can still hear my voice, but the screen is as big as possible. So as you see, I have kind of a lot of control over kind of how things work. I believe, have between 6 and 10 people in the broadcast at the same time. I think that's also a difference between the $25 and the $50 level, is the amount of guests you can have. Let me actually check that really quick. Yep. So, okay, they can both have 10 on-screen participants. So that's on screen, but you can have people in your green room. You can have people in your grayed out area on the bottom indefinitely. So when I did my last event, there was a lot of people who were pretty nervous about kind of, is it going to work? And so once they were connected, they didn't really want to leave until their segment came on. So they were just kind of hanging out back on the bottom of my screen. They were grayed out. Nobody could hear them or see them or anything. As the person controlling this, you're the one who has the ability to do that. So as you see in the upper left corner, it says this video is scheduled. I am not live yet. I have to click the go live button in the upper right corner. And what it'll start doing is it will start streaming to these 4 places. So until you hit go live, you are not live. So you can have people come on, you can talk to them, get them comfortable. And yeah, so like I said, as the person who is broadcasting, you have a lot of control in terms of when people join the broadcast. You can remove them, but I like using the private chat function to be able to communicate with them and let them know, hey, I'm going to finish talking about this and bring you on. Are you ready? Or like, sometimes you find people need a couple of minutes or they're looking for their backup, whatever. And you can sort of stall and let them do that. Now, what else can you do as the person who is in charge of things? It's a good question. So if you look, I'm going to be looking at the right part of the screen here. So one of the things here is comments. So some destinations won't get comments, right? So there are only some comments that will show up, and they have to sort of, from my understanding is, let's say someone has a private Facebook page and they're watching your broadcast and leave a comment. I don't think that comment's necessarily going to show up here. So it kind of depends on their privacy settings, kind of depends on your privacy settings as a business page or whatever, wherever place you're streaming. But also it looks like it depends maybe on some other stuff too. But if there is a public comment, and they're showing us an example here, I can click on it and show it on the screen as I talk about it. it will pull in the person's face if they do have a profile picture, and it'll pull in their comment, which can be shown on the screen. It's great if you're having something interactive and there's Q&A, you can kind of highlight questions. But like I said, not all comments show up. So if you are asking for comments from people, you might want to sort of confirm with them that, if their comment doesn't show up for whatever reason on your screen, it doesn't mean that the comment wasn't published. It just means that for some reason, privacy-wise, we can't put it into the broadcast. And then you have what are called banners. So as you see, I can write things ahead of time, and I can click on them and show them on the screen. We can customize what these look like, by the way, a little bit lightly, but it's really easy to add a new banner. You can just click add a new banner and you can type something up. There is a character limit of 200 characters. And also, if you put a link in here, the links aren't actually clickable. So just keep that in mind. So if you're sharing product links and things like that, it might be good to use a link shortener ahead of time and shorten the product links using something like Bitly or tinyurl, so that the links are short enough, first of all, to not take up all 200 of your characters, but second of all, that someone could actually type them in with minimal errors. So it's nice. You can sort of use, you can kind of use this to be putting stuff on the screen, whether it's ideas that someone is sharing or whether it's links or, that kind of thing. So those example banners are something I like to do kind of ahead of time, especially if I know what kind of my questions are going to be, if I'm interviewing someone, or the talking points that I know I want to hit. It's nice to have them on the screen as well. Now, in terms of kind of controlling what things look like, that's where this branding stuff comes in. So if you wonder where the color of the little liney thing next to Nicole the Wonderful is coming from, that's what this is. And I have some I can change the look and feel of stuff. And I'm curious if I pick bubble. I'm just curious if it'll bubble it'll bubble everything. Okay, cool. There we go. So I have some, by the way, those two, the bubble and block, have just recently been added. So I really don't know much about it. If you're using the free version of Streamyard, by the way, this is what shows is this little Streamyard logo, but you can also obviously add your own logo, which displays in the upper corner. You can also create what are called overlays. I think I think it has some obnoxious thing when it's free, something like this. But you can also, do titles, stuff like that. I've had people, so when they're talking about a product, we can kind of overlay the picture. Obviously, it should be in the same aspect ratio as the video, or else, there's going to be some borders on the, where the video is actually larger than the picture you're showing, which is totally fine. Just keep that in mind. And what's nice too is you can preload video clips. So let's say that you were talking, and this broadcast is brought to you by, and if I click this, see, it's muted my microphone and it's playing the video, which you can't hear because I have headphones on, because I'm quarantining and Main Street is busy and I want to create a good sound environment for whoever has to listen to me. So you can preload video clips. Like I said, they have to be 10 minutes or less. Don't ask me how I found that out. But it's nice because you can kind of bring in these sort of elements, and finally the background. So, so when something is a smaller aspect ratio than what's being shown, the background kind of pokes through. So that was my little Christmas festive background. And then finally, if I don't want to show names at all, this is where the show names display thing is toggled on. So if I toggle it off, now you don't see my name anymore, and you wouldn't see anyone else's name either. It's kind of an all or nothing thing, which is a little annoying, but for how easy the software is to use, it's, I'm not going to fault them too much for that. So like I said, it's a matter of kind of experimenting with things, and to simply you can remove people by clicking on their face and clicking remove. You can add people by hovering over them and clicking add to stream. And like I said, you can have up to 10 guests at a time, which feels really chaotic to me. But the most I've done is 2 along with me. So it was 3, and we did the divided thing. So we were 3 divided, and it kind of looked like a similar aspect ratio to a cell phone screen. And then I guess if you were going to do if it would be 4, it would be kind of work too. So I wouldn't go more than that, honestly. I feel like listening to more than 4 people talk at the same time can feel a little too much. But if you're doing a panel or something like that, you can put people kind of side by side in a similar size. And like I said, anybody who is in stream is able to be heard and seen. Anybody who is out of the stream is no longer able to be heard and seen. So yeah, and that's pretty much it. And then the settings give you some control over, like, things guests can do. I guess if you were worried that people were going to like share the link and accidentally, you can have them authenticate. It hasn't been a problem with me, so I haven't really explored that. But yeah, so like I said, it gives you this really kind of easy way to kind of add elements without minimizing and maximizing the screen. And if you are talking about something and it's kind of a presentation style versus kind of having everyone being in a meeting and being contributing, the Streamyard software works really well for creating a nice stream. And the streams do work. And then afterward, so first of all, when I schedule them on all of those social media sites, there is a little preview saying, Nicole is going live on Tuesday at 9:15 a.m. with blah, and so they see the reminder and then it's broadcast. And then after that, when I end the broadcast, the video permanently lives on YouTube, on Facebook, and all that. So after the live video, it is archived onto the channel or onto the social media page or whatever you want to call it. So in this case, it's going to go on my personal Facebook profile. It's going to go on my Breaking Even Facebook page. It's going to go on my Breaking Even YouTube channel. And it's going to go on my Breaking Even Twitter account. So, and honestly, most people are going to probably watch it after the fact. Most people don't watch stuff live. For the most part, they watch the replay, and that's totally fine. If someone happens to be available, I like to use comments to kind of to sort of share and let people kind of contribute to what's going on. Like I said, I don't see all the comments. Sometimes I see them afterward, but I think it's because, like I said, some commenters have their stuff turned off. There we go. Chat support. Got it. I don't know what this yellow gold thing means. Okay. So you can kind of guide people through how to make sure that their comments are viewable if you're going to encourage them to do that, and tell them that you're going to broadcast their comments or whatever. Make sure that they know that they need to maybe do a couple of things to either their profile or their settings to make sure that they're visible. So that is pretty much everything about StreamYard that I've found pretty relevant. If you have, obviously too, you can add things on the bottom of the screen here. I'm just going to leave the studio. There we go. So yeah, I found it to be a pretty good tool so far. I've been using it for like 3 months for mainly live broadcasts to weekly broadcasts to my Facebook and other social media channels. I've also used it to host a few special events that were kind of longer, so like multiple hours. And I find it really, like I said, really useful. It allows me to kind of take a break off being on camera because I can just take myself out of the stream and let the person talk, things like that, which is really helpful versus being live all the time. And yeah, and it gives us a fair bit in terms of being able to customize how that looks and how people can experience it. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions about StreamYard, or if you want some help planning your StreamYard event. I know that I have some experience planning events and also virtual events, I should say, and in running them. So yeah, I definitely might have some ideas or some experience that might be helpful. But for the most part, the most you're going to learn is by actually just kind of using it and trying it out. And I think it's a really great tool. And I look forward to better Instagram integration and some other things that I know that they're working on in the background of StreamYard. So thanks for watching. I will talk to you soon. Take care.